Video games. Ever since the 50s, this beloved pastime by many has been steadily growing in popularity, quality, and accessibility. The 70s introduced these video games to public places like restaurants and such, essentially arcades that brought in a more social and competitive aspect to it, while later on, when it evolved into home gaming, where people can buy their own consoles and enjoy it at their own home, it improved more of the appeal and the accessibility. But nowadays, it's grown into this huge industry that brings in a lot of money and has gained serious attention from the media. And the games themselves have also been improving in their own ways with the variety that they have, the detail, and the different types of games that we can play. So gaming is growing everywhere, and it's growing fast. According to a recent report by the Entertainment Software Association, over 60% of American households are home to someone who plays video games regularly, and 67% own a device for playing video games. Now, I'm sure most of you in here either play video games regularly or on occasion, just depends on how you enjoy it. And if you do, you've probably heard of some myths around that video games might socially make you more socially isolated, make you more prone to violence and such. And because of these myths, I felt that it was really important for me to just come out and set the record straight and just tell you all what they truly have to offer and their positive side. So I'm here to claim that video games are beneficial to the players, and to prove it, I'm be going over how it betters our health, helps us develop many useful traits, and benefits our social life. So I'm gonna start with health. And I know it sounds weird me saying video games are healthy for you. It doesn't sound like a right sentence, but what I mean is that certain types of games, when played, semi-regularly, can help you improve your some aspects of your health. The first thing is some video games are able to help certain parts of your brain grow, and a study done by Max Planck Institute in Germany. German researchers, they conducted a study where they asked 23 adults to play like Super Mario 64 for 30 minutes a day for a period of 2 months, and they examined how their brain patterns and their brain size changed, and they were able to see that the gaming group had a rise in gray matter, and different parts of the brain were able to also evolve by playing the game as well. The next thing is that it can slow aging minds, and what that means is when we get older, every part of our body goes older, and that involves our brain too. So our cognitive functions get deteriorated as we're older. But if old people play more brain-teasing games and work their brain out more day by day, they can help slow those down. And this is supported by a study done by the University of Iowa, where they tested groups of seniors over 5 to 8 weeks by helping them, making them play brain teaser games, and they were able to show that playing 10 hours of a specifically designed video game a day were able to slow their decline of cognitive skills by up to 7 years. And the last part is video games can help lift our mood and relieve our stress. And this is mainly simple games, just like games you can just take out of your pocket or something that you can easily access, and not more complicated games. It's basically it's basically like a board game of the 21st century. My second claim is that it helps us develop many useful traits, and it helps us develop improved cognitive flexibility, which is our ability to multitask, adapt, and switch between different tasks. And this was proved by a scientist from Queen Mary University of London and University College of London, where they made 2 groups of volunteers play a game called StarCraft, which requires a lot of strategic thinking. And the group who played that were able to do better on the tests, and they were quicker and more accurate in performing their decisions. Video games can also help you improve your accuracy, your decision making, and your problem solving skills. Cognitive scientists from the University of Rochester discovered that if you play high-speed action games and like Call of Duty or Unreal Tournament, which involve you having to pay attention to a lot of things and keep track, it helps you, hone your decision making and without affecting your accuracy much. That goes the same for problem solving as well. And also it can help improve reading skills with dyslexic children. This was a study done by University of Padua where Italian researchers separated children of age 17 to 13 into two groups, and they made them play two different games and tested their reading skills after, and they showed that the group who played more of action-oriented games were able to read it faster and more accurately. And the last one I want to cover is a short one, and it's how they benefit your social life. Nowadays, a lot of gaming is online. Over 50% of gamers play with their friends or separately. And when a lot of gaming involves communities, then communities bring up their own rules and like who to trust, who not to trust, how to most effectively lead. And these kinds of social dynamics are present in online, and they can also be applied into real life as well. And lastly, many gamers have an online presence, and their presence supplements their offline presence. With researchers at North Carolina State University and a couple of others traveled to more than 20 different events multiple different events, ranging from small to big, and they surveyed a lot of gamers, and what they found that was these gamers weren't really isolated in their rooms just playing video games. They interacted with people online, they go out to events and make friends. I wanted to wrap this speech up by tying some loose ends on topic. First, I'm not making a case for every single game. All games are different, they affect you differently. And also, I'm not saying that we should play it all the time, and the more we play it, the more the more we play it, the more better, the more the effects are more, you get better effects. Moderation is really key, and you need to play with moderation. And if you can do that, it can provide you a wealth of memorable experiences and hours of fun, while also giving your brain, body, and your social life a boost. Thank you.
Okay, claim is clear, contents are laid out effectively. You get to the third point basically when you run out of time, so the last minute and a half is basically all overtime. That's going to be a problem down the road when we're doing the debates, so you have to pay more attention to that. The first point that you signposted clearly. You've got a lot of information on that particular point. It does sound to me a little difficult for somebody who is aging to play 10 hours of video games a day in order to slow down the aging process by 7 years. That sounds like it's an awful lot of video game playing every day. That's what the quotes seem to suggest. There is a little bit of statistical information when you have at the beginning when you're talking about how many people play games or have access to gaming, but none of the other information that you have gives me anything that is statistically significant on these points. It just tends to suggest that a relationship exists or that there was some improvement, but none of it's quantified. So the conclusions of the studies, I think, are a good starting point, but the question of whether or not they're sufficient or convincing is still a little bit problematic. Like I said, I think that your whole third point is mostly in overtime. That's a little problematic. It's nicely presented. I think you do a good job speaking to the audience and conveying some confidence in your own material. All right, that took longer than we wanted.